Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome into a new video. So today we're going to be talking about makeup I changed my mind about, both for the worst, things I liked, no I don't, or think they're kind of meh, and then also for the better, things I didn't like at first and then now have come to really love or really like. I have about 5-ish for each. If you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel to see more content like this, makeup content, but also contentment content. We're seeking our best lives on this channel, trying to be content with what we have and who we are as people. Love that for me, love that for you. I also have a buy me a coffee that I will link up or down. I'll link it in the description if you would like to support the channel. I also have an Etsy store and we're running a sale until June 2nd. So go check that out as well. I also launched some new stuff over there and there is even more coming. I have a really cute design that I'm excited about that should be up fairly soon. Last thing, many of you have commented about the sound on my videos. I have been working on it, I really have, and I think I finally have found something that's crispy. If you like in the way that this sounds, let me know. So let's get into the video. We'll start with the negatives first so we can end on the positive note. I don't have everything here, but the oldest products that I'm gonna be talking about today are things that I've had in, I've actually tried and worn no later than 2020. So let's talk about it. The first thing is the Revlon Color Stay Foundation. The oily version, this is mine. I have the shade 180 Sand Beige. I think the color on this is actually really great. Maybe not so much for right now. It's just a little bit too dark. That's why I mix it most of the time actually. Currently, today. I think this on its own is just okay. And in high school, from about 2011 to, from grade 11 to second year university, approximately, which would be 2010, 2011 to 2014-ish, roughly that period. This was my go-to foundation and I really loved the coverage on this. I really did. And that was the #1 seller for me as to why I like this, or the thing I like the most about this. And back in high school, I had much more acne than I do now. I was on Accutane for nearly a year. I had very severe acne at the time. So I went to this to, get that coverage for really severe acne. And I actually find that a little, I don't want to say shocking, because shocking is not the right word. I just find that a little funny now, seeing as I've tried so many more fuller coverage products over the years that would do a way better job. But also I think maybe one of the reasons why I like this is that back in 2010, there weren't the options that there are today, even at the drugstore. So this probably was one of the fuller coverage options at the drugstore. Now there are more fuller coverage options. Even I think the Fenty has better coverage. And so I don't see myself rebuying this because to me, this is just so run of the mill for me. It doesn't do anything more mattifying or make my skin look any more beautiful than other foundations. It covers pretty well, but not amazingly. And I can't say I have less to cover now than I did in high school, which is why I find the fact that I chose this for coverage an interesting choice. I'll pan this. This is a good foundation. It's just, foundation is one of those things where I absolutely need a favorite. I'm not going to call it holy grail because I just get so annoyed when people call things that are not actually holy grails. I need a favorite combination, a favorite foundation combo. And I've had that in the past, but I haven't. I'm currently in a state in time where I don't have, an absolute favorite foundation that makes my skin look amazing that I love. I don't have any of those top tier love products, and this just doesn't fall in there. The second foundation on this list is the L'Oreal Pro Matte. I wore this for 4 years. That was the next foundation that I liked, and I was low-key obsessed with it. I thought that it was better than this, which is why I switched to it. And I retried it back in 2020, and I could not understand what the fuss was about. I was genuinely shocked. I bought it thinking that I was going to love the ever-loving crap out of it because I was actually obsessed with this product in university. I loved it so much that I bought 2 shades of it, and that is the only foundation ever in the history of my life that I've owned, that I've personally purchased 2 different colors of foundation for. And now I just think it's like just another average foundation. I think I would prefer now the Color Stay over the Pro Matte, because the Pro Matte is like a thicker foundation. This one is more liquidy, and I think that just gives overall a nicer look on the skin. I know now my skin is nowhere near as oily as it was 7-8 years ago. And so I think just my foundation needs are overall different as well. And the Pro Matte, yeah, it was mattifying, but it was just okay. And this one is not mattifying. I would not even call this a mattifying foundation. Hey, Adonation here. I did a very bad job at explaining why I don't like this foundation, so I'm here to be more clear. I think that this foundation is more mattifying than the Color Stay, but it's still not very mattifying. That's number one, which is fine with me now, but looking back at how much oilier my skin was back in 2014-ish, I'm surprised I liked it as much as I did. But what surprised me the most is the coverage as well. It has, I would say, medium coverage and not full coverage. And it was just so thick. I don't like a thick foundation. Sorry for the noise. I really do think that more, I don't want to say serum, but more liquidy foundations, I think, do the trick. Catrice is such a really great example of that, of having that high coverage but very thin formula. Next up on the list is, I think, the most shocking thing on here, and it is the NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat powder. I have this in the shade Nude 02. I think it's a really great shade. It is actually lighter than how it looks in the pan. Like, if you see that, and then in the pan, I'm kind of expecting it to be a little bit darker, but it works totally fine. I am personally partial to a powder foundation as well as powders that have the kick up. I find those to give better coverage, but it's not like a hard and fast rule. I've been wearing this since 2012, basically since NYX came to Canada. And I think a lot of Americans don't realize that NYX is a relatively new brand to Canada. Like, NYX has been in Canada for roughly 10 years. And I mean, like, actually accessible at the drugstore for about 10 years. And this was one of the very first things I ever tried from NYX, and has just been a favorite. I think for this powder, what ended up happening is that it's an older formulation that there's just better now than there was a decade ago. And so I think that there's more elegant formulas now, and I actually find that this looks powdery and almost chalky, but I don't want to quite say chalky. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, this worked well with the kinds of foundations that I was using, and now I don't find this impressive at all. It just, like, it literally happened one day when I pulled out, like, I panned one and then was using it for a couple of days and was just using a loose powder, and then pulled this out and, tried it on again. I was like, oh, this is just okay. And I can't believe that I don't like this anymore. And I'm now on a bit of a hunt to find a pressed powder. And for me, like, I have a lot of like pitting in my face, as well as lines on my forehead that do go pretty deep. That is a concern, as well as oiliness, is finding a powder that doesn't emphasize the lines on my face and, like, kind of sink in. Some of that is inevitable. This overall, I just find the look of it powdery. It's not blurring and smoothing as I once found it to be. I kind of find it even a little bit on the chalkier side now. It just really looks like powder when I never thought that before. Let's now go on to the Quo concealer. This I won't stay here long because most of you can't actually get this. The first, like when I first used it, I got this, I think in 2020, and didn't really use it until last year. The first time I used it with the foundation, I thought this was so great. And even for a while, I thought it was similar to the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer. Like I thought I was in love with it for a hot minute. And I was just loving it. And I was like, wow, it's so creamy. It's so good. But I, like after actual regular use of it, it's so average. Like it doesn't do anything good or special. It doesn't, hydrate my under eyes. It doesn't look particularly great under powders. It doesn't, like it creases, and it doesn't look as nice as even, the NARS concealer is kind of like my number one at this point, and that's what I compare everything to. Doesn't hold a candle to NARS in my opinion. And when you put just like the smallest amount of powder, it just looks dry AF. And I'm wearing it today. Can we see that? It just looks so dry. Oh yeah, look at that. It just looks very dry. I think you can see that it just looks really dry on the under eyes, like in a just unpleasant, unflattering way. And I'm a little surprised. I ever thought that this was nice, and I will not rebuy that. The last thing on the change my mind about it is the e.l.f. Wow Brow. Everybody raves about this as like the best at the drugstore. I was one of those people too. The e.l.f. Wow Brow was one of the first eyebrow gels I ever tried. The very first one I tried was the Essence Make Me Brow. I hate that one. Don't buy it. Don't waste your money on it. And if you are really, really on a budget, I'm pretty sure the e.l.f. Wow Brow is like the second cheapest at the drugstore. Cheapest being the Essence Brow Gel. So if you are in a budget, it's not a horrible brow gel. I just think that it's okay. I won't repurchase it simply because it does not have, it doesn't have any hold. It doesn't have any hold. And I want my brows to I want them to stay up. And this, I'm wearing the Glossier Wow Brow, and it's not going anywhere. And yes, the Glossier Wow Brow is significantly more expensive, but there are better at the drugstore. And to me, the e.l.f. Wow Brow kind of feels like people are applauding like something that's doing the bare minimum, because the bare minimum just wasn't at the drugstore for a long time. To me, it just kind of feels like people are applauding that a brow gel exists. I hate to say it, and I hate to be that person, but it's like, we're really just gonna say that this is so great because it's a brow gel that comes in more than 2 colors. Really? I find the praise of the e.l.f. Wow Brow a little bit surprising, honestly, because it does not hold for shit, at all. And it has, 4 colors? 4? It's mediocre. That's my opinion. Let's get on to things I changed my mind about for the better. All right, the first two I'm going to talk about are 2 that I don't have here. And the first one is the NARS concealer. And I tried this a long time ago, and I was like, not for me. I don't like it. And then when I first got it and was first using it, rebuying it after 5-6 years, maybe even longer, I thought that it was just okay. I thought it was just meh. And then just after a couple of days, if not weeks of using it, I fell in love with it. I felt like it makes my under eyes look so good, and it has now become the gold standard. I feel like it also looks good with powder on top, like a light powdering. I was really shocked with how good it made my under eyes look. And yeah, it's now the gold standard of concealers, the ones that are, it's the one to beat, really. And a similar thing, which I've talked about a lot over the last year, so I don't want to stay here long, the Pure 4-in-1 primer. I got it, and I was so skeptical. I was like, this is so dumb. I don't need this kind of primer. And it says it's 4-in-1, but it's really just like a creamy hydrating primer. So I'm like, what other things can it do besides hydrate? Whatever the claims were, I'm like, really? Anyway, so with some time, I freaking fell in love with that primer. It is my favorite primer that I've ever owned. I panned that thing so quick. It was such a joy to use. I think for me, I was just skeptical as somebody who's always had oily skin. Like, what do I need this kind of primer for? I really think it helped the makeup go over my skin, but also I think it's great in the winter. At least, okay, I don't want to speak for all the oily skin people, but for me, I have always been under the impression that like to be oily meant that like you don't get dry patches on your skin, when that was not true. And so I did get dry patches on my skin, and I have for a long time. I don't know, like pretended I didn't see it. I'm not sure. So in the wintertime, when I was more prone to having dry patches, it just helped smooth them and go over the skin to, you know, prime it for makeup, especially if I was using something that was a little bit more mattifying. And I think it's a fabulous primer, and even better in the winter. The next thing I'm going to talk about are the Revlon Color Stay eyeshadows. Now, I have the shade 730 Praline, and I'm just gonna like show you a reveal later, like in just a second. And I got these because I thought that I would really like them. And then when I got them, I didn't like them. I decluttered one, and I came so close, like on the verge of decluttering this. I kind of felt like they were useless. They didn't really, like they weren't cosmetically elegant, they didn't look good, or they didn't apply easily at all. I didn't like how they applied at first for all of the reasons that I said. I took a break from them, and I just let them hang out, decluttered one. And then one day I picked up the one I had left and started using it, and I have been obsessed. To me, this is the best cream eyeshadow at the drugstore. I should be more specific, at the Canadian drugstore. The US has more cream eyeshadows available to them, even in stick shadows. So there's two eyeshadows, one by CoverGirl and one by Kiko, that are like sticks. We don't have either of those here. There are other potted shadows that I'm sure that I've seen that we just don't have here. And also I think the color tattoos came back in the US, like the pots, which I have not seen those here, so I don't want to say that they don't exist, but I've never seen them at the drugstore, and I've been on the lookout for them. So I hope you understand what I'm saying, is that I really, really do love these, but there are still things that I know that I haven't tried, that I haven't gotten here. That's all I'm trying to say. So just look at how much I've used. This is all in 2022. Look at the dip in there. Like, that is significant. I think that it's so beautiful, and they're really creamy. And this particular shade, I think is really great on my light skin. Just do a swatch. It is cool tone. To me, the pinnacle of one and done eyeshadow looks. All you need if you're, you know, similar to my skin tone, is just a swipe of this. You don't even have to be neat with it, and it looks so great all over the eye. It's really lovely, really beautiful, and it does set down on your lid, and I experience minimal creasing. If you haven't tried these, I really think that they're so worth it. They're so worth the money. I can't believe I hated these at one point and even tried to declutter. I think that the decluttering, the one that I did, was a mistake. Now, with that said, yesterday my time, met up with Lara, you know, from Lara Likes Mascara. We love her on this channel. I'm gonna link her channel down below. We went thrifting in Toronto. It was so great to see her. She's like so cute, such a gem. I hope she does a little haul of what she got, because she got some cute things. And while we met up, we exchanged makeup, because we're just those kinds of people. And if you watched her recent eyeshadow, like pan those eyeshadows video, I'm gonna link that, by the way. She had these two Revlon shadows that she didn't want, it's like she didn't like, and she gave them to me. So I have 710, don't know what the shade name is, and then this one is 705. And her shades actually are even creamier than the one that I have. Oh shit, I have nails on now. I'm having some troubles. Freaking look at that. Some of the most gorgeous. This is, I cannot wait to put this on my eyes. It's beautiful. Just beautiful. I'm so happy that that she gave them to me. And this one here, 710, like, part of me wants to be like, how dare you not like this? But, like, I mean, makeup, people are allowed to dislike things. So, I love these, and I guess part of me is glad that she doesn't like them, because now I get these really beautiful eyeshadows. Last up are some mascaras. The first one is the Merit mascara. This is the very first, the one and the only high-end mascara that I have ever liked. And I think I'm gonna have to take some screenshots of older videos, because like when I wasn't wearing this, and I know when I'm not wearing this, because this combined with another mascara that I said that I hated, the Essence Lash Princess, is the most beautiful look I've ever had. To me, these are intense, amazing eyelashes. I think my eyelashes look freaking beautiful. I have very short, sparse, downward facing eyelashes. Nothing, it feels like no mascara out there holds a curl or lengthens, or I just kind of resigned myself, honestly, for my eyelashes to always look shitty. The L'Oreal Telescopic has been my favorite mascara simply because it gives me the most length, but it doesn't give me any volume, so it's like my eyelashes kind of stick straight. And even when I've used this with the Telescopic, it doesn't look great. But the Merit mascara is a tubing mascara, and it's the whole, like, it's the star behind the eyeshadow look, or not the eyeshadow look, the mascara look. It's freaking amazing. It holds a curl and lengthens, and it actually dries pretty quick. And then I do like a smaller coat of the Lash Princess on top, and I probably wouldn't buy this to wear on its own, but to layer with this one, it is the most beautiful combination. This is the only high-end mascara that I'm ever thought about purchasing. Really, it is expensive. I think it's $35, so I will not be buying it now because I just don't have a budget for that. But in the Sephora sale, I'll do it at that point, or if Merit has a sale on their website, like, you know, that Black Friday time, then I'll get it at that point. But until then, I will comb the drugstore to see if I can find a dupe, because I would be absolutely devastated if this freaking $35 mascara is the only way to get my eyelashes to look like this. In my mind, I'm like, it can't be the case. It can't be. It almost breaks my heart because I just love this so much. And I hated it at first. I thought it was a stupid, useless mascara at first. And I think part of it is that the formula needs to get good. I think that's a little bit more wet at first. I don't know what my deal was, because I do remember thinking that it did absolutely nothing at first. So if you get it, let it dry out, or if you have it, let it dry out a little bit and then try it out. You gotta make sure though, like, you have a good curl going on, and then put that baby on top. I'm kind of without words for this mascara. Oh boy. That's everything in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you tried any of the things that I've mentioned? What do you think about them? What makeup have you changed your mind about? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.